You can be my doctor any day.
Yeah.
Open up, Colorado. It's 420. Time to grind and burn.
This is not your son's stoner show.
Welcome to the Grind and Burn, a podcast from the Cannabis Community Project, broadcasting live from the Dink Studios at 3835 Elm Street in Denver, Colorado. We are the first media show to bring businesses to cannabis. Cushly Organic Products eliminates odor, and it's organic and it's non-toxic. I use it myself, and many of my close friends and family use it. www.cushly.com.
The 6 degrees of Cushly. Yeah, it's amazing.
Check one.
All right, it's almost 420. Let's begin. All right.
Hello, my name is Brent, and I'm here representing Gorilla Healer, which is a 501c3 charity based out of Colorado. And many of us, some including in this room, myself, feel that we need this to live a better life. I know many people who need this to live life, period. And so medical necessity is a huge subject in my daily life. It did all start with learning how to heal myself. I have no business telling anybody what I think if I haven't experienced it, unless I'm asked what I've researched. The first patient that I actually helped guide to healing herself, that stemmed into other people asking me for help and other people asking me for help, and then me actually just doing more research and learning more and wanting to share what I learned, and that journey just blossomed into a whole new world of really just sharing knowledge. So endocannabinoid system, we all have it, everything with a vertebrate, even spiders though, and it regulates our immune system, our neurological system, our digestive system, potentially even endocrine system, many things. There's receptors in us that are waiting for cannabinoids, or in our body anandamides, and we specifically, anandamides stimulate the same receptors, and that's why things like turmeric work really well, because turmeric stimulates the CB1 receptor. Ultimately, that's what this is about, growth. Burnt MD's crew or movement is GTD, growth till death. And it started out as get that dough, because they're one and the same in this life. And so, money and being a spiritual warrior is what I believe in. And that's why I've been very called to the Standing Rock Initiative. Well, I grew up on microwave foods.
Okay.
I grew up on just sugar, or snacks, or whatever. It's not like my parents were feeding me that. When we're giving something to our child or to ourselves to make us better from being sick, we have to use things that, we would want to use things if we could. That was the best. We'd travel around through the world to the other end of the world to find the potion to heal my child or to heal myself. But systematically getting worse and worse. And now I have inflammatory issues and other issues that I deal with, and so we're all the same. Oh, I did this when I was younger or whatever. But we can't tell our kids to do something. If we're not doing it, they're going to see what we're doing and they're going to want to do it. Anybody who feel that taking a stand at work is not socially acceptable might want to consider whether or not we're counting ourselves when we go to sleep, because ultimately I'm not a sheep. If I compromise my morals and integrity, I no longer have integrity. I no longer will withstand the test of time for myself to be myself, to be happy with myself.
Thank you very much, Becca. Thank you for joining me once again in the studio. And Gorilla Healer, thank you very much.
In my ears.
Hey, Cannapreneurs, are you inspired by the stories you hear? Maybe it's time for you to tell your own story. Do it right here on this show, CannabisCommunityProject.com, or email me personally, brainstorm at CannabisCommunityProject.com.
Feeling guilty about a time with cannabis?
Get it off your chest and confess it on Cannafessions, your public forum to absolve your soul.
New voice message, Wednesday, 4:21 p.m.
Hi, my name is Bob, and this is my confession. I was on a family vacation with my parents to Egypt, and I snuck away and hung out with the Bedouins for a while and smoked hashish out of their hookah and had some fun. They were pretty mad when they found out they didn't get to go. So, sorry, Mom. Sorry, Dad.
And that was Confessions. If you have a confession to make, contact me via Facebook or the website at cannabiscommunityproject.com.
I love weed.
Awesome. Well, why is that relevant?
My name is Nancy Fingerhood, and I am the creator of a web series called Mile High Nancy. It's about an aspiring comedian who is also a single mother by choice, which means she used a sperm donor. And she also hosts a 420-friendly cooking show on cable access television. That's her way of paying her bills and providing for her daughter. But her dream is to be a stand-up comedian. I've done several other comedy videos. I started with Middle-Aged Women Gone Wild. We won open screen night at the Oriental Theater when they were doing it. And that kind of spurred my passion to continue doing writing, producing, directing, and editing comedy videos. More recently, I started actually going behind the camera and actually shooting as well. And so with my husband, we started a video production and photography business called Vivid Impressions Productions. It's not comedy, it's more of the professional client-based type videos. Not as much narrative, but we also do photography as well. But my real passion, I guess I would call myself a storyteller, producer, an actress, behind the camera type of work instead of in front of the camera. But with particularly Mile High Nancy, it's me mostly in front of the camera with some good friends who are acting buddies. And I've found some great people through Facebook. There's a bunch of groups for finding actors and actresses. And in my last episode, I had probably about 18 extras show up for a bar scene. And it was great, and they were, it was fantastic to have that many people in the crowd. So yeah, I'd say writer, producer, director, editor, and camera person on occasion when I can.
Nice. All after my own heart. Sounds like you're reading my own desire list of things I want to call myself.
Oh, you can call yourself that. It may not be true.
Well, it just doesn't all fit on my business card. After the 10th word, the card just looks like a cluttered word of...
Get a poster.
Exactly. Walk around with a sign.
Exactly.
You're an all-around artist, right? You're doing a little bit of everything. A Renaissance artist, yeah?
I guess so. Jack of all trades.
Jack of all trades.
But I'd like to master some of them at least.
What is your ultimate goal? Like, if you could say in 50 years, people will remember me as, what's the one thing you're striving for to kind of weed out all the other things to be ultimately known as?
Wow. Let's assume great wife and mother.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, also a storyteller that entertains and I guess makes people think about things they wouldn't normally think of before. To make people laugh, but not just laugh like superficially, but to kind of think about their own lives, kind of go deeper than just like surface comedy. I used to do stand-up comedy in the Denver area. You know, I watched a lot of stand-up. The type of comedians that I really like are the ones that after you watch the show, you start really thinking about the things that they said and how they take a subject that could be really serious and they kind of make light of it, but at the same time, they're pointing out issues. Margaret Cho will do that with like feminism and homophobia. And it's really funny. And like Jim Jeffries with gun control, really funny.
Yes, Jim Jeffries. We talked about that a couple of weeks ago on another podcast. He has a new special out called Freedom. Mm-hmm. And same thing, I think it's probably his most brilliant work. It's so funny, but it definitely makes you think like how ridiculous some things are. And when you step back and look at it from a comedian, it's like, wow, what are we doing as a society, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it makes you think deeper. And then I think what really good comedians do is they bring to light things that we know inside of us, but we don't really acknowledge or maybe want to think about. You know, it's like, oh yeah, you know what? That's right. But it's like in the bottom of your consciousness, and they just kind of bring it up to the surface and they make fun of it. So I'd like to continue writing comedy, but you know, on that kind of deeper level.
What you're talking about, more of the intellectual, cerebral type comedy rather than the fall over the couch type comedy, slapstick
yeah, like
type
there's
stuff.
Larry the Cable Guy, but then
Right.
there's Russell Brand.
Right.
They're
Russell
just
Brand.
Yeah. So it's nice to just have that sort of chuckle, you know, but Russell Brand, if you've seen one of his specials, it's more like, you know, he brings to light injustices and prejudice and things. And it's funny, like it's hilarious, but you kind of are just like, wow, you know, that's really important messages that he's trying to
You learn
provide.
something. You feel
Exactly.
like you're getting something from that message rather than reacting with laughter to something you see or just something that's funny per se.
Funniest home videos.
Right.
You know.
Those are funny though.
So yeah, for like a second.
Well, I think it's different types of comedy. I think it's like with anything, you have comedy world, but then you have different aspects of that comedy world. And so you have your slapsticks or, you know, things that you can kind of just tune out and it's just like America's Funniest Videos, just funny. But then there's comedians that are going deeper to what you said, trying to get people to think and see how this does play in my life. And I think comedians you mentioned, I think of Bill Burr. I love him. He says what we all kind of think sometimes in our head. And it's interesting to see somebody be so open and can say it. And I think Jim Jeffries too, certain things that people say, it's like, wow, they just said that and I thought that or something like that, you know?
Yeah, or you didn't even realize you thought that until they said it. I think Louis C.K. is great for that too. He did a segment on his show about overweight woman who, you know, he didn't want to hold her hand or something on the pier. And, you know, there was a dialogue that went on. You know, it's just bringing up subjects that people don't want to acknowledge maybe in themselves or
Right.
feelings that they have. And with Mile High Nancy, it's a work in progress. And so I'm trying to get there. You know, I want to bring out what it's like to be a single mom. I'm married now, but, you know, I was first single mom. And one of the things I say is, you know, I don't have the luxury of having a nervous breakdown. I'm a single mom. You know, people like you want to curl up in bed and cry for the weekend and, you know, just watch movies and whine to your girlfriends. But when you're a single mom, you have to take care of another person, especially if they're like toddler. I mean, you don't realize that having the nervous breakdown is a luxury until you just can't do it. And you're like, oh my God, I actually have to like feed my child. and something healthy. Like, I can't just be like, here's a tub of ice cream, just go in the corner and leave me alone.
I've done that before.
Well, I always say I may not be the mother of the year, but I'm not going to jail.
I think motherhood is the hardest thing in the world. I have 4. So I'm curious about you said middle-aged.
Middle-aged women gone wild?
Yeah, so is that your persona? Like, is that your persona for your show that you said that's gotten the most hits, right?
Okay, so that's a different video that was like a 5-minute comedy spoof of Girls Gone Wild.
Okay.
It was like making fun of a lot of the situations that you see in that Girls Gone Wild video. But in the, so it's like a middle-aged perspective. So, you always have like women in the pool, really in sexy bikinis and swimming around and they're wet and, it's really sexy. Like, so in Middle-Aged Women Gone Wild, you see women who are of all sizes, shapes, jumping in the pool, and the voiceover says, see them cooling off from their hot flashes. So it's just kind of putting a twist on what you'd see in Girls Gone Wild and applying it to middle-aged women.
And where did you come up with that idea?
That was actually, I was in my 30s and I was down the shore. I'm from New Jersey and I was back east visiting some friends and we went down to Point Pleasant, or was it Seaside Heights? I can't remember. Anyway, one of those two places. And
the second person week to week to be from New Jersey.
Yeah.
We haven't
Jersey.
scared you.
I love people from the East Coast.
Oh.
Because I'm a native of Colorado, and my previous work, I worked a lot with the East Coast culture.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, because it is, people have...
Rudeness, that's our culture.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's amazing to see how many people are here in Colorado from New Jersey or from the East Coast.
Because we escaped.
Yeah.
Like, get out of there. So we were down there and it was like 6 of us and we got this motel room and we're all staying because we're too cheap, get separate rooms. And so we're all staying in this room and we're all getting ready. We just were at the beach and got back. We're all getting ready, changing, taking showers and everything to go out that night to the club. And like all my girlfriends were like in different states of undress, like, some were in their towel, some were in their underwear, whatever. So I, of course, got out my video camera because that's the kind of friend I am. And I started filming them and just like to be goofy. And I'm like, come on, shake it, So then I just started yelling, it's middle-aged women gone wild, because that's what you'd see, but So a couple of my friends were a little bit like, hey, speak for yourself. And that's when it sparked in me like, this could be a funny video. But I, at that time, didn't know any video. I didn't have like the videography skills. I didn't have the right camera equipment. A few years later, joined a group of people interested in film. And this one guy was like, I'll film it for you. And him and a couple other guys came out and did the cinematography. And I just had some friends and friends of friends that were in it and created it and just kind of went on from there. I have a scene with me and my girlfriend. We're in the bedroom in our granny panties and granny bra, and we're standing there and like we're being kind of interviewed by some guy and we're talking about ourselves, because they always have the scene in those things where like they have the innocent college girl and she's in the bedroom and the guy's like, why don't you take off your shirt now? And she's like, oh yeah, it's hot. Okay. So we're kind of like acting like that. We're just being silly and not as attractive. Let's just put it that way. And so she gets out this vibrator and you think she's going to like, she's like really looking sexy with it. And she just kind of uses it as like a vibrator for her back, like a massager for her back. And she's like, this feels really good. So it's kind of like that. It's just spoofing on that kind of stuff.
You should add the shake weight in there for, the triceps.
Yeah. Oh, they have a Saturday Night Live. See, that would be my other dream job, would be to be a writer on Saturday Night Live. Yeah, to be a sketch writer. There's 2 dream jobs, I think, for myself would be sketch writer for SNL and actually documentary filmmaker. Because I've always had this, I was in the Peace Corps years ago, and I've always had this thing about traveling and social injustice, not a thing for social injustice, but, like fighting social injustice and kind of been political my whole life, like especially in college. And it's just inspiring to me to see filmmakers that go overseas and bring to light things that we don't know about in this country, we don't know here. And when they show these films, it encourages people to take action, and it gives people in those countries a voice that they wouldn't have. This is the serious side of me.
But
Sorry about that.
well, it's good to be serious. I was just going to ask, how do you find that balance of serious and comedy? Because you want both of those, right? You chose both of those as being your kind of life goals. How do you find that balance of where you want to be serious? Does it inhibit at all being funny when it's time to be funny with all the seriousness, or do you just find a way to pursue both paths?
I haven't really pursued the serious path yet. I've been more involved in the comedy side of things. There's a lot of stuff going on in Denver, documentary filmmakers out here. I saw one not too long ago about children in a program for, disadvantaged youth and that kind of thing. So you can do it here as well. I just haven't made the time for it because I've been focusing a lot on the comedy side and also the video and photography business that we started.
And you're also a mother.
Yeah.
So it's dividing the time between our passions and being a mother.
Yeah. And when I said, I should say my goal is to be a great wife and mother, it's like, I should say that.
You already are. You're a mother. How old is do you have a daughter?
She's 9.5, yeah.
And your wife. So you have those two things.
Yeah. But being great, that's another aspect. I'm not like the Martha Stewart mom, and I'm not like the, it's weird, the doting mom. But I'm a helicopter mom in some ways because I'm Jewish and like I can't help it. And my mom is like taking over me in some way. Like I feel like I'm becoming my mother, which is horrible thought. I'm not saying she's a bad person. She's not, but God, she's so annoying. And so I will not tell her to listen to this. So, but I see the things that I care about or the things that I, stress about with my daughter, are similar to what my mom did. And I want to be more of that, like Martha Stewart type, I guess.
Yeah.
I do. But I hate I'm not really into cooking and like craftsy stuff and, like making a leaf collage and that kind of things and building a house with popsicle sticks and things like that. Like I'm kind of one of those more moms like, don't do that, it's dangerous, And that's like my mom coming out, just appearing. And just then I take a step back and sometimes I hear myself like my own voice when I'm talking to my daughter. I'm like, I sound like my mom, and giving my mom a bad reputation. But
yeah, we all have mothers. And we all hear our mothers say, that's not the point, Becca. Right? I say that to my kids. That's not the point. But I think we mother how we were mothered. Mm-hmm. But I think we try to improve on that mothering. And I think we can't compare ourselves to each other. We mother the way we mother, and we mother the way our children need to be mothered. And it's different. And you're a perfect mother how you mother.
Tell that to my kid. Hopefully she'll appreciate it.
Your daughter will say that too. My mom, I'll say the same thing. My mom was strict. She was brutal growing up, right? But I'm thankful for her on that because it made me a strong woman today. But I also have to balance that mothering that she did to me and not do exactly the same, right? Take pieces of what she did and apply it, because I don't feel like I'm a standard Martha Stewart mother either. I feel like I mother radically different than most people. But you know what? But I think my kids are great, and they all beam with their own personality and their own who they are.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully my daughter will take some of the good stuff away. I think sometimes I spend too much time with the video editing. Like I'll sit there. I really enjoy the editing of the videos. I do. Like I have Final Cut Pro 10 software, and I just love piecing things together and finding the right flow in the video. I do have a person who does camera, but I do the editing. Well, he'll help out too, so it takes away the time, I guess, from, the leaf collages or whatever. But
the popsicle stick houses. Fresh baked cookies when you get home from school. Like I have the grand gestures too. I'm going to get up in the morning and make breakfast,
every day. Yeah.
Make your lunch, send you off with a smile, a note in the backpack, and I'll be there waiting for you at school with hot cookies, and then we'll play games. Yeah. That doesn't exist, but I have it in my head, and I don't know where that'll ever come to fruition.
It's like another parallel universe there. It happens. Really, like the most guilty I felt this summer was my daughter spent a week at sleepaway camp, and my friend, I was out with her one night when my daughter was gone, and she goes, "So have you sent her a letter?" While she was gone. I was like, "What? It's a week." And then I was like, "Oh my God, I should have sent her a letter. Oh my God." And then she's like, my girlfriend was like, "Yeah, don't worry about it. She'll be fine." And I'm like, "No, I feel guilty now," And then I show up at camp, and the first thing my daughter says to me is, "Why didn't you send me any letters?" And I was like, "I'm so sorry. I didn't even dawn on me. Like, all these other kids had care packages, like 10 care pack for 1 week." I'm thinking, wait, I said to her, if you were gone for a month, I would have sent you a care package. But it's like 1 week, what's...
Yeah, and a week goes by like that, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't get all the stuff I wanted to get done while you were gone."
Exactly.
Yeah,
so
it's okay to have vacations from our children and not feel guilty.
It was just that she was just like, "Why didn't you send me a letter?" Because then, it's just that feeling of, the other thing was, in her lunchbox, it's like, "Mom, all the other moms send the little note put in their kids' lunch boxes that says, 'I love you.'" I had never done that. I was like, it didn't even dawn, like, what kind, you think to yourself, like, I
just realized it's so much easier to be a father. I don't have to deal with any of that.
This is how I measure success on mornings. If we can get out of the house without one kid crying, it's a success.
Oh my God, yeah. World War III every morning. Sorry, we're just like complaining.
Complaining about our mothers.
I think this is a great conversation because I think as women, and I feeling that, I don't know where your kind of comedy goes, but I think being able to talk openly about those conversations we have in our head that we don't share with any other women. And I think how we feel as mothers is something we don't necessarily share, even with our best friend, right? We just have that recording in our head. And I think if we're able to talk about maybe some crazy motherly things we've done, like I have a very bent up pot that I was making macaroni and cheese in and had a meltdown, right? And it's now not round shape, right? So I don't have great I have bad, I should say bad, but not proud moments of mothering, of being a mother. But I have 4 beautiful children, and
they'll survive.
Those little ones outweigh all the other things that we do as mothers. Yeah.
It's kind of, and what I was trying to say about the comedy is, I'd like to make people think about these things through comedy. It would be cool to bring these things to light in a comedic way, but it's also kind of, you can go into yourself and start thinking about these types of things that are meaningful to us. And one of the things also, that I joked about was being a mom and smoking pot. Here we'll go into cannabis now. I wrote once, now that I'm a mom, I need marijuana more than ever.
Yes, I always say marijuana makes me a better mother. It gives me more patience.
Oh, it makes me find my daughter's jokes funnier. I feel like I can bond more, But
is your daughter trying to be a comedian also?
She has had the reputation at her school of being the class comedian, kind of. She's like an entertainer, and I'm like, I wonder where she gets that from. But no, she's pretty funny. I think she's really sophisticated sometimes in her humor, actually. And she enjoys making people laugh. She does like to be the center of attention sometimes and make people laugh. So
is that what it takes to be a comedian? Wanting the attention, the center of attention?
I don't think that it's, I don't know, like, I don't think it's being the center of attention wherever you go. Because there's a lot of famous comedians, and just comedy actors that I've heard are very actually shy and kind of introverted. And they're not always like seeking that attention. But I think it's more about feeling like you have something important to say and you found a funny and entertaining way of saying it.
Where does yours come from? As you've probably heard, they say most comedians come from trying to fill that void of something, some type of pain or something that happened when they were young. Where do you think yours comes from?
I don't know, like just life experiences. Like I said, I don't do stand-up anymore, but I try to incorporate stand-up and obviously comedy in the work that I do now. With the other types of videos I do, Middle Aged Woman Gone Wild, a lot of spoof commercials that I've done, the Foo Bra, the bra for the fat upper pubic area, muff mints, and so on. Wait, I just totally lost my train of thought. But
That's right. Everybody lost their train of thought with that one.
What I'm trying, it's like I just went off on a tangent there. What I was trying to say
I'm trying
was,
to picture it.
it's actual. I had a costume designer design this thing. I think, like I was trying to say, is that life experiences have helped me create some of these videos, and I think a lot of it. I don't think it's really from my like traumatic childhood, which I didn't have. Mm-hmm. I just grew up in the burbs of Jersey, and my parents got divorced, and like most people's do. And
at what age?
I was 15. I don't know.
Not quite 16. We were having this conversation on the way up, and he said, at the age of 16, you're adult, and if your parents get divorced, well, it's not going to impact you at all.
Well,
I didn't say at all. I said
15.
the impact is if you're 16 and above, you can tell your children to deal with it. If they're below 16, then you have to consider them as more children in the event.
Yeah.
That's what I was saying. I didn't say it was meaningless.
Yeah, I understand. Like, it's just, I don't know. I mean, I was not really popular, I guess. Well, I had some friends, and I don't know. It's like the typical crap you go through as a kid, kind of being a nerd. And
were you funny in high school? Like, were you the comedian in high school?
No. I really think it's about being a mom, like, kind of spark some things. And
so when did you start down the comedian path? So you said you did stand-up. So, like, what happened when you're like, I want to, for me, that would be terrifying to stand up and be like, okay, I'm going to do a stand-up comedy set. Like, what made spark that?
Oh, well, actually, it was, I don't know, 3 years ago or 4 years ago. I thought I had MS, which I thank God don't. But this is true. I thought I had, this horrible disease, and I was like, okay, what's my bucket list? Because maybe I need to start thinking about that. And I kind of made people laugh when I would talk to them, kind of have conversations and tell funny stories and stuff. But I know that stand-up isn't just getting up there and telling funny stories, because you have to have a punchline. You have to have, you can tell funny stories, but it's not like, where you're at the water cooler. Well, I don't know if they have those anymore, but where you're at just the lunchroom at work or whatever, telling it has to be planned out, all your words and how you say them and everything. So I kind of developed some jokes, storytelling type jokes, because it was just, it was like, well, I think I could do this. And if my life's going to go to shit, so I might as well just try it now, because it's not like I'm going to die up there. People could throw things at me and boo at me, but it's not going to kill me. So I might as well. Like, what do I have to lose? And if I never do it, I'll regret it. I don't know how much time we have here, so let me just try this. That seriously is what sparked it.
Did you read a How to Write Jokes for Dummies book, take a class, go to a group, like a, I don't know, do they have comedian group, improv group, or what did you do to build up to getting on stage? Or did you just go and jump on stage?
I did read a book. Can't remember which one
it wasn't. It was. How to Write Jokes for Dummies, was it?
No, not that one. I got that one. I can't remember what it was, but I did read some, online stuff, just kind of like structure of jokes. And then I just wrote some thoughts down and went over them with a couple of friends and kind of got some, we did a little brainstorming and just put a structure to them. And then, I got up. It was at the Mercury Cafe in Denver. They had an open mic night, and I did a set. It was probably 5 or 7 minutes or something like that. I got laughs, and people liked what I did. And I didn't know if I was ever going to do it again. It was like, well, I'll just see how this goes. Like, I was really nervous. And I also remember, like, I'd have one drink, and this is kind of standard for any show that I did. Like, I would have one drink before my set, just kind of take the edge off a little bit.
5 sets a night.
Well, let me finish. So I'd have one drink, do my set, and then get off and be like, now I'm going for it, like, and then I remember my first set at the Mercury, I got off stage and I was like, my girlfriend, she, Bong and Blonde is her name, her avatar or whatever. And she, makes these amazing, marijuana, just cannabis food. And she had these cookies that she brought. That was like my Scooby snack when I got off stage. I'm like, give me my cookie. So that was my treat after my set. I would not be high while doing a set because I just didn't know where it would go. Like, it's like, you got to think about what's my next joke and this and that. Like, I just think I'd be too scatterbrained. So I always wait. It was always my treat. Once I get off, I get to get high. Like, that was the reward there, and I just, got off stage. I was like, give me my treat, give me my Scooby snack, So she fed that to me. So.
Can you describe for people who don't know how long a second is when you're staring in front of a group of people who are expecting you to make them laugh? What is the feeling of just the passing of a second of silence like?
Yeah, silence is definitely worse than people even going, I mean, it totally is. That's worse than, like, if you can get a reaction, that's fine, even if it's not laughs. But I would always just say something like, well, it seemed funny when I was high. And so you try to like say something in that silence, in that silent moment. And it kind of ends up being fun, and then it'll end up being funnier than your joke, but at least then you got to laugh, So I would always usually try to say something like that, explain why that, how bad that joke was or something. To at least get some kind of reaction. But yeah, it seems like a really long time. And it's, I found that mostly that happened when it was a room full of other comedians, like an open mic night,
Nobody wants to laugh.
Like, they don't want to laugh. They don't want to, and I remember this one joke I told about, and I don't want to look old. I can't remember my joke, but it was about looking like an old hooker, and then people would laugh a little, and then it'd go, and I don't want to look old, And it was an open mic, and nobody was laughing at that joke. And then I said that one line, and I don't want to look old, and this one comedian in the audience went, "Ha!" And he meant it, And then I was like, oh, that's a good joke. I'm going to use it because somebody laughed, and another comedian laughed in the audience. That means, like, if you can make other comedians laugh at the open mic, that's a good joke.
Do you keep track, like, if I can ask a technical question, do you keep track of your jokes in the sense of which ones are doing good and which ones are not doing good?
Well, so like I said, I don't do stand-up anymore now.
But you still have portfolio jokes, right? That you kind of
I
yours
incorporate
that you carry
into the
around?
show. It's interesting because what I do is some of the jokes that I told or wrote, I should say, way back, like I incorporate it into Mile High Nancy because it may not work as a stand-up bit, but it can work in the show, like the lines, like I could use it more as like a dialogue with another cast member.
How do you organize yourself in that sense? Do you look at it like a job where you're keeping track of concepts and funniness in the sense of this is an asset, I got to develop it and put it over here in this file cabinet? And
it's on my phone, actually.
I have like
what's
10
your
organization
notebooks in my
process?
car, actually. There is no organization process. It's terrible. I'm awful.
It's just filling notebooks.
It's filling notebooks, filling my notepad.
Peter can't comprehend to this because he's so organized. He can't. He can't stand it.
Oh my God.
I'm the same way.
Not at all.
So I get a thought and I'll even text myself, or I'll be with my friend if I don't have my phone, and I'll be like, I'll say something, or even she'll say something, and I'll be like, text that to me, so I remember, because I have a terrible memory now too. And like going back to like, were you the class clown and what brought you to, a lot of it has to do with getting older, and trying to deal with, that's where Middle-Aged Women Gone Wild came from, was this fear of fear of aging, fear of, just things sagging, and, I need, I'm going to have like get a breast pillow soon to put between my boobs so that like
Oh, yeah.
I don't have the wrinkage, the cleavage wrinkles.
You should have a store where you sell all the products that you utilize. Yes.
The Foo Bra, the Boner Flage.
You have a whole SKU of products.
I do. I'm the
Yeah.
spoof infomercial queen.
I was thinking sweat under the boobs, right?
Yeah.
Something to catch the sweat under the boobs.
Well, it's the equivalent to the what is it? Ball gravy,
Like a gutter?
nut gravy, the nut gravy that men have. They complain about.
Though I want to say for our audience members who can't see us is that Nancy is absolutely beautiful. I don't know how old she is, but she looks like she's 29 or 30.
Oh my God, I love you.
Seriously, I don't. You were no, but I was saying you were saying about her age.
I'll turn. I'll go the other way.
But I'm seriously. I'm 40. I'm 42, and you look way younger than me.
I am not younger, but thank you. I have a blog, so I do the writing part in my blog. I share my thoughts on aging and relationships and sex and child rearing and all that through.
Can she come on my show?
Absolutely.
It's called Confessions of a Middle-Aged Woman Gone Wild. And, I took that Middle-Aged Woman Gone Wild piece and kind of threw it into my blog there. And I know I talk a lot. I do these bits, I call them instead of my pearls of wisdom, my rocks of wisdom, talking about how, at this age, if I have a dinner party, I tell people just show up in your pajamas because, you'll just be more comfortable that way. Like, why bother getting dressed up anymore, But so a lot of it does come out of this fear of, and it's not just like the aging. God, this is going to get a little depressing, but it's not just the aging, and wrinkles and all that stuff, but also maybe it's like midlife crisis. It's that, okay, so I'm closer to 50 now than 40. And you do think, what have you done with your life?
Do you also think of like where we see our parents too? I remember when my mom turned 40, right? I was 16, 17-ish when she turned 40. And I threw a surprise party. But I remember thinking my mom was so old. Like, it's almost like...
Yeah.
It's almost like we're losing our desirability. And, like, are we still desirable? Are we still going to have this energy? But I feel like I'm better now. Of course, this is over the last year. Mm-hmm. If you asked me 2 years ago, I was a miserable sack. But now I'm like, I feel better than I did at 20. I feel more confident in me. I wish I had this better self-love of myself now as I've grown older. I think it's not growing old, but growing maturity. Having that maturity, but still having that youthfulness that we so desire when we were 20. Mm-hmm.
I like the wisdom that I have now. I just wish, like, I just, like you think about, sometimes I think about going back to school for something and I'm like, but, it'd take me like 3 years to finish. Do I have like the stamina? Do I, I'll be almost 50 when I graduate. Like what, and, just life choices you've made in the past. Like you just wish you had that what you know now, that kind of thing. Would you like to talk more about marijuana? Because I've veered off.
No.
Oh, I do want to know. I want to know how marijuana plays a part in your life. Have you always been marijuana friendly, 420 friendly, or did it come into your life at a specific time?
Well, it's, my sister, God bless her, introduced me to, she taught me how to inhale, like any big sister should, and I think that I became open to it because she was kind of a pothead and she's 6 years older than me. And so it became like, oh, it's okay to smoke weed, because she's doing it. Great influence. But, I see the benefit of marijuana, medicinally, and just like I said, taking the edge off or relaxing or helping you sleep. I get so upset when people are, they just call it a drug that's just like, it's not like heroin or meth or something. Stop it. You have a beer, take the edge off. I'm going to go to the bar, have a beer. Well, I'm going to have a bite of that cookie. Like really, what's the difference? And, I don't like when people just, oh, well, that's bad. What I do is okay. And so anyway, I just grew up thinking it's okay. Like, I'm not going to shoot up heroin. I didn't think that was okay. But marijuana was always like, it's pot, like whatever, And then when I graduated from college, I used to keep journals. I wrote from 16 years old up till about like 30. I really did. I kept a journal and I wrote almost every day. And when I was in my 30s, like, I want to go back to my journals from college and see what I was up to. And I really thought I smoked pot, I don't know, once a week in college, maybe once every other week. And then I went to my journals and I looked in there. I was like, it just like went into, so-and-so's room, smoked a bong with, smoked some pot with him. And then the next day I was like, went to this party, smoked some pot with them. And I was like, oh my God, I smoked a lot of weed in college and I just completely forgot, I didn't realize how much I did smoking, and I made it through, and I had a 3.4 GPA. It was okay. But, I probably wasn't as into it until I moved out to Colorado. Because when I moved out to Colorado, it was 12 years ago, and it was just seemed like such a 420 friendly state. And like it just didn't have the criminal, back in New Jersey, I think, isn't it like a felony or something? I don't know, whatever. It's criminalized more out there. It was. And so I didn't do it as much. I did it like once every couple of months, honestly. But here it was just so readily available, even before legalization. But I guess that was kind of liberating for me, moving out here and being like 99% of the people out here smoke pot. And it wasn't why I moved out to college. I had no idea that was what it would be like out here. But I was pretty happy about it. I was like, this is awesome. Like I said, it's more of it's just recreational. It's fun. Just like I said, going out. Some people I want a glass of wine. Jim Gaffigan has this joke about, back in your 20s or something, you drank to get more confidence with women. In your 30s, there's something else why you do it. And then in your 40s, it's because it's the only fun thing in your life anymore, But I've never been a big drinker. So I just always liked smoking more. And now I like edibles. It's much more of a all over, body kind of high. And I don't drive. I don't drive while high. I'm not trying to sound like, big brother, big sister, whatever. But, I know my limitations.
Right.
So, yeah.
CAD, Comedians Against Drunk Driving, or Stone Driving. What do you tell your daughter about marijuana in general?
I haven't really had the conversation yet. I think for marijuana, that's a decision that she'll have to make. She's just she's 9. It's not an option right now, and...
It's not something she sees at all.
No, and I don't want her to see that. Now I'm not comfortable with that. Just I don't even I'm not going to drink a lot in front of her either.
Yeah.
I think if you're buzzed in front of your kids, that's it's fine. Especially 'cause, my husband's home or whatever. But yeah, I don't think being totally shit-faced is a good thing either in front of your kids. It's just not.
Well, if she's going to follow the path of being a comedian, she'll spend a lot of hours in bars, and if she gets hooked on the weed now, then maybe she won't even touch the alcohol, right?
Yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it. Yeah.
Get them hooked on one now, avoid the other. Excellent. Do you have more womanly questions you want to ask?
More feminine-based.
I can save that for my show. Oh, I can save that for my show. But I do have one more question. You said you came out to Denver or Colorado 12 years ago. What brought you to Colorado? Besides a beautiful location from New Jersey.
Yeah, I always say I just got sick of New Jersey. Yeah, it's really crowded although now it's really crowded in Colorado too. I'm like,
but it's a beautiful state, right? That's why it's called the Garden State. It's a beautiful.
The Garden State. New Jersey's name is
the Garden State.
Yeah, Jersey's the Garden State.
Right?
It's a garden full of weeds. That's what it. Yeah.
I've never been there. I don't know. All I know is what I see in The Sopranos.
It's, there are some nice parts to it, but I think it is pretty fast paced. I did not want to stay in New Jersey for the rest of my life. I knew I had to get out one day. And I went to college in Washington, D.C., and I was in the Peace Corps. I was in Bulgaria for a couple of years, and I was in another program in Thailand for a year, teaching English. So, I just knew, New Jersey was not my final resting place. That was not going to happen. And I like Colorado, but I'm kind of, honestly, it's the traffic here has competing with New Jersey. And I'm like, maybe I should just be a small town girl now. Like, go from...
Well, that's the benefit
Jersey,
of Colorado
Judah.
is that everything's a small town except Denver, the metro area. So if you want a small town, you can do that very easily. 30 minutes out of Denver, you're in small town everything.
Well, like Westminster is a suburb where I live.
Well, I'm talking about actual small towns, not suburbs of cities. But.
Yeah, well, so, I think of like a suburb, it's just not going to be as crowded and as much traffic. And even that's gotten like crazy.
That's why they call it the greater area, the greater metro area.
Yeah, the metro.
It's all just one
it's big blob.
Well, but then
traffic.
it comes to the point that now it's like, I don't even want to go outside of my 5-mile radius. Forget it. Too much stress, too much traffic.
It's like
going to take me an hour to get there, especially depends on what time.
Unless you have the light rail. That's so cool.
But then
that is cool.
That's still like, and it depends on where you're going, right? How far away is your destination from the light rail? But I agree wholeheartedly.
And I got to be honest, I miss the ocean. I miss the beach. I miss hearing the waves lapping against. I don't know. I like it here, but at the same time, God, I miss those big bodies of water and.
Well, we have the Pirates Cove off of Santa Fe.
Oh yeah,
Waterworld up off of
just
I-25.
Sit by the wave pool there and.
I guess we don't have any big oceans or anything, but lakes. If you like lakes, we have a lot of lakes. And,
yeah, I go fishing sometimes,
big
but
mountains.
The ideal I think would be live here in the summer. In some beautiful mountain town or, somewhere out, even Buena Vista or something like that. And then the other half in the winter, because I'm kind of done with the cold too. God, I sound like an old fart.
I'm in the winters too.
Oh man, I'm getting geriatric. Live, if you have the money, live in like Monterey or something, or Panama by the beach. I'm not opposed to overseas living.
Yeah. Does the Peace Corps give you any added benefit to job searching or anything? I considered it when I was younger and ultimately didn't do it. But I did do almost 3 years of abroad in Mexico. Teaching English.
Cool.
And I found it hindered most of my job seeking when I came back because it created a gap of employment that was out of country. It didn't translate right. What was your experience in going away and then coming back to the U.S.?
I've spent most of my life trying to avoid working. So, been almost successful at that. That's my one big success in life. Avoiding work.
And the Peace Corps facilitated that?
I had this misconception that, okay, I worked overseas and I even worked in Tanzania for a little bit as a grant writer. And I thought, when I come back from that, I'll be so hireable and I'm going to work for the United Nations, UNIFEM or UNICEF or something like that, really important. And they'll just see this amazing resume. And that's not what happened. And then I said, screw it. And I packed up and moved out to Colorado. But I don't know if it hindered things. But at the time, I didn't care. It's just I just want to see the world and live life to the fullest and experience new cultures and just see how other people live. That's always been important to me. And I think that's part of the whole interest in combining the documentary filmmaking, combining creativity with learning about different cultures and, different issues that are going on around the world.
Yeah. Ideal job for me would be Anthony Bourdain's life.
I just don't want to eat all that shit that he...
No, but just the idea of traveling the world and...
Being paid for it?
Being paid for it, but being paid to go explore food and nightlife and be drunk half the time and just...
What about trying new weed around the world?
Oh,
right?
There's
a show called Strain Hunters. You ever seen that?
No.
It's on YouTube. It's called
Damn,
Strain
someone
Hunters.
took my idea.
And they're from Argentina. And it's a group of guys that travel the world finding different strains of plants. And then they smuggle it back to their own country and start to breed them and splice them and grow them in their own country.
Now, are they doing this with like masks over their face so nobody knows who it is so they don't go to jail?
Kind of.
Oh.
Yeah, kind of. Like
Yeah.
I watched one where they went to Afghanistan to find this weed plant high up in the mountains of somewhere, and they had to pay off guards and government officials, and then they smuggled it back to Argentina and the whole deal. Yeah, it's called Strain Hunters. Very interesting.
Oh.
But these are the type of ideas that media people like ourselves get involved in, and we start thinking of all the ideas of what you could do for TV shows and everything else.
Yeah.
It's endless possibilities.
You know, it's funny just thinking about this smuggling. When I was when I was a volunteer in World Teach, I was in Thailand, and a bunch of we were having a Thanksgiving dinner in Chiang Mai with other World Teach volunteers, and these a couple of girls were in Laos, and they smuggled some weed out of Laos into Thailand through they put it up their hoo-has. So I was smoking weed that was once in someone's hoo-ha out there. It was still really good. But what was that?
I'm like, was it the best weed you ever had?
Had some interesting odor to it, but
It's like
but it worked.
It's
It
like
did
a
the
war
job.
story.
So yeah, I was like, you're so brave. I don't think I would have done. I think I'm too much of a coward.
Well,
because if you get caught in Thai and you go to Thai prison,
oh, you end up on that TV show, Prison Abroad, and you'll be the crying white girl in the Thai prison.
Damn, I don't want to do
smuggling
that.
heroin up your
they were
butt.
I was just like, I commend you
Oh yeah,
for your bravery
they're
and your service
very
to
strict.
this party. But not some. I wouldn't do it.
Very good. We've been chatting for a while.
Thank you.
I think we have a good sense of what you're all about. Is there any lasting words or websites or anything you'd like to leave us with to send people your way or to get an idea what you're all about?
Let's see. A few things. I have a YouTube channel called Mile High Nancy. It has on there, the web series Mile High Nancy, but it also has my spoof infomercials, Middle-Aged Woman Gone Wild, the Fubra, Muff Mints. I do have a segment on there. It's a cooking segment, cooking with marijuana, Bong and Blonde making these fantastic cannabis cinnamon rolls. They're just delicious. And some other great comedy videos. I have my blog, Confessions of a Middle-Aged Woman Gone Wild. And you can also check out our video and photography page, vividimpressionsproductions.com. And I think that's it. I'm also on Twitter under Mile High Nancy. Or is it Oive Productions? I can't remember. Because that's what I call my comedy production side is Oive Productions to my Jewish heritage.
Very good. Thank you very much for coming down to the studio today, hanging out with us, chatting.
That was fun.
Thank you. You want to say bye?
Thank you. I enjoyed it.
Me too.
Very good.
You're so cute.
There you have it, Cannapreneurs. That's all I have for you this week. But make sure to stay in touch with us. Stay with us on social media, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+, Twitter, all the networks out there, even Mass Roots and YouTube. Make sure to follow us every week right here. Leave your comments, give us your feedback, be on the show. We want to see you every week. This is your community, so make sure to come back. We'll see you next week.
Come on!